Before the sun fully rose over the eastern United States, the wild boars had already begun moving, leaving long trails of destruction across the fields. For professional hunters like us, this was the moment to step out and face the challenge and wild provocation of these creatures. Every step was more than a chase. It was a battle of instinct, survival, and raw strength. After 3 days of tracking footprints and sounds, I had learned the movement patterns of this herd. Today, my team and I decided to test ourselves, to see if our skills and instincts were still sharp. Within less than a minute of waiting, the first dark figures appeared. No one seemed surprised, only respect for the experience and alertness required when confronting such sudden threats. The opening success happened quickly, and soon after, more shadows lurked behind the bushes along the field. In this open terrain, everything unfolded fast. From the edge of the field, entire groups of wild boars, along with lone individuals, surged forward. I couldn't stop them all, but that didn't shake our focus. They were heading straight toward the interception point Mark had set up. As expected, Mark handled the situation flawlessly, neutralizing the risks with calmness and the skill of a seasoned hunter. Our defensive line stretched from the outer edge deep into the field, each person positioned and ready.
Fields again.
The battle lasted only a few hours, but the result sent a clear message. Any intruder would have to think twice before stepping onto this land again. On the western side of the field, a few members of the team held their positions. The air was quiet, but our vigilance never faded. Suddenly, a dog's bark shattered the silence. A massive wild boar appeared, easily over 200 kilograms. One look at its sharp tusks was enough to understand what could happen if we reacted too slowly. Like and share to support our team so we can bring you even more intense and high-quality hunting footage. At the decisive moment, Mark once again displayed his technique and steady nerves. Every shot was perfectly accurate, removing threats before they could form. Even the most unpredictable shadows on this battlefield couldn't escape Mark's calm control. This wall of defense was proof of his authority and near-perfect precision. We continued moving upward. In the mountainous areas, our team hurried to block the animals before they disappeared into the steep slopes. From afar on the hillside, small wild boars appeared and vanished into the bushes. Without hesitation, we deployed our strategy, prioritizing individual targets to prevent them from regrouping. At a distance of over 100 meters, Mark remained calm. He gently pulled the trigger, and the sound echoed through the valley. The target fell instantly. The remaining ones, whether near or far, were quickly locked in by our marksmen. Steel discipline, deep experience, and smooth teamwork allowed us to prevent what could have been a major destruction. Before the dust settled, new targets appeared. Without hesitation, we handled each of them cleanly, even the smallest shadows trying to escape. Every shot carried the responsibility of protecting the crops, the local community, and the peace of these vast fields.
Early in the morning on the outskirts of Oklahoma, the alarm bells of a western ranch rang intensely. A herd of wild boars had broken through the fence, ravaged the young cornfields, and rushed deep into the forest. There was no time to hesitate. The hunting team immediately set out in a Ram 1500 TRX, heading north under the captain's orders. They quickly split into smaller units, following the main trail. From that moment, the pursuit officially began. Every movement had to be fast, precise, and fully controlled. Not a single animal was allowed to return to the fields. Just a few minutes after entering the forest edge, the hunting dogs barked sharply. A mature wild boar suddenly burst through the tall grass toward the hillside. I quickly followed it to a small lake, adjusting my aim. The target moved constantly, forcing me to act quickly. A warning shot echoed. The next shot hit the mark, causing the boar to fall instantly. The team quickly secured the area before advancing deeper. The previous gunshot had startled the rest of the herd. From within the woods, several dark shapes dashed away almost simultaneously. The captain immediately adjusted the strategy. One shooter circled to the right while the central group held their position. The following shots were released with control, striking the boars attempting to escape through the dense bushes. We kept a steady pace while remaining cautious to avoid loud noises that could alert distant groups. The scouts sent a signal via iPhone 17 Pro Max, reporting new tracks. Through the headset, the captain whispered, "Only shoot when you have a clear line of sight." The first shot from the shooter beside me hit the lead boar, causing the area to fall silent for a few seconds. No one in the team relaxed. We stayed in position, listening to movement signals. A few minutes later, the device indicated another boar circling west. I immediately shifted direction, running along a narrow dirt path toward a dry bush. There, its shadow appeared, smaller than expected, moving just over 10 meters away. A crisp gunshot rang out. The bullet hit accurately, completely disabling the target. I approached to confirm, and there was no resistance left. The giant boar had been handled safely, preventing damage to the nearby farmland. After that, I returned to the team and moved toward an open area between two forests. There, a dark figure was sprinting rapidly in search of food. To prevent it from reaching the cornfield ahead, the captain signaled to fire. We advanced from the downwind side, avoiding any scent reaching the boar. When it lifted its head, a precise shot was taken, quickly securing the target. Another threat was resolved smoothly. Fatigue began to set in after hours of pursuit, and the captain decided to withdraw. But on the way out, a lone boar suddenly appeared near a barren patch of land. It moved slowly but was extremely cautious, requiring a delicate approach. The captain chose a safe tactic: keep distance and use a long-range scope. Once everything was under control, a clean shot concluded the morning hunt. Before leaving the area, the entire team performed a final inspection. No signs of intrusion remained. The hunt was completed perfectly, safely, and in full compliance with U.S. hunting regulations. Today's trip was not just a hunting journey. It was a mission to protect crops and safeguard the ranch, an important responsibility entrusted to us by the local community. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like the video, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel to follow more thrilling forest hunts. See you in the next adventures.
We are standing in Florida, a vibrant tropical paradise, yet also the battleground of a silent struggle. Behind its serene beauty lies a serious issue: wild feral hogs. They are not native to this land, but an invasive species. Each year, they cause billions of dollars in damage, destroying crops and harming agricultural lands across the state. The place we are in is a swampy area surrounded by dense pine forests. Florida is reported to have the highest population of wild hogs in the United States, with some exceptionally large individuals appearing from time to time. Our mission today is to reduce the damage they cause. Stay with us closely. This will surely be a memorable hunt. As we began, we built tall observation walls to monitor the entire area, ready for any unexpected situation. Only a few minutes later, several bold hogs appeared, rummaging through our stored supplies below. I quickly checked the target, pulled the trigger, and brought down the first one. The second one panicked and ran, but it was already too late. Staying calm, I aimed carefully and handled it immediately. This initial double success gave the whole team a strong boost for the journey ahead. We continued deeper into the forest, each step taken with caution. Suddenly, a massive herd appeared, possibly dozens of them. Clearly, the wild hog population in Florida had exploded. This was the perfect chance to land a decisive strike. I controlled my breathing, focused on the largest hog, squeezed the trigger, and watched it fall instantly. The herd scattered in chaos. The team quickly split up, following the isolated targets to prevent any threat from escaping. Kevin, my teammate, spotted a group of hogs rushing toward him. He immediately took position, steadied his rifle, and locked onto the leading hog. A series of firm shots echoed, and the hog collapsed right away. The others scattered wildly, opening new opportunities for the next phase of our journey. When the herd dispersed, we identified another hog hiding in thick bushes. I reloaded, steadied my breath, and took a precise shot. The hog was neutralized instantly. Right after that, we followed a narrow path leading to damp ground marked with fresh tracks. A few steps later, a soft rustling sound came from behind an old pine tree. I signaled the team to stop. A medium-sized hog slowly crossed the path, unaware of our presence. I moved to get a better angle, balanced myself, and gently pulled the trigger. The shot landed cleanly, and the hog dropped moments later. Another target handled smoothly, giving us room to advance. By late afternoon, the fading light made our search more urgent. From afar, I saw a large hog moving slowly. This time, I did not rush. I stayed silent, waiting for it to come closer. When it finally stopped, I took the shot. It fell instantly. Once again, patience proved invaluable during the final stretch of the hunt. As dusk settled, we began following the old trail back. But from the dark edge of the forest, a final target emerged. Without hesitation, I reloaded, focused with all my attention, and fired the last shot of the day. That crisp sound marked the perfect end to our journey. We gathered the game and used a specialized vehicle to transport everything. All procedures were carried out according to U.S. wildlife regulations. Leaving the area, we felt a deep sense of fulfillment. So, which moment of this journey impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments.
On the snowy mountain peaks, where the cold can freeze anything in its path, wild boars still survive thanks to their thick fur and protective fat layers. Despite the biting wind and bone-chilling temperatures, they rush down to the farmlands, causing severe destruction during the harsh winter. They flip soil and rocks, tear apart crop rows, and even threaten local farmers. Unable to stand by and watch their homeland being ravaged, brave hunters step into the frozen wilderness to protect the people. Can they overcome the brutal weather and face these powerful animals? The journey ahead will reveal everything. We moved along the western hillside, where the snow had begun to melt into streaks on the cold rocks. This was the area predicted to show signs of wild boars. John released the hunting dogs, directing them toward the lone boars that caused the most damage to farms. It didn't take long before the dogs barked furiously. They pushed the first target toward me. As it charged, I calmly raised my rifle and fired a precise shot. The creature staggered, easily weighing over 200 kilograms. A major threat had been dealt with, and our first victory was secured. We continued higher up the slope. In areas where the snow still covered the ground, our team worked to block the herd before warmer weather encouraged them to roam further. From a distance on the snowy ridges, small groups of boars appeared one after another. We quickly deployed our strategy, focusing first on the solitary ones. At more than 300 m away, John gently pulled the trigger. The blast echoed across the snowy mountains, and the target collapsed instantly. The remaining boars, near and far, were swiftly tracked by the marksmen in our team. Strict discipline, years of experience, and perfect teamwork helped us prevent a potential wave of devastation. Do not be fooled into thinking everything was easy. John's long-range shots came from countless hours of training and unwavering discipline. Throughout the pursuit, binoculars served as our second pair of eyes, capturing every subtle movement on the snow. Dark silhouettes gradually emerged on the white backdrop. Locking onto distant targets required more than accuracy, it demanded calculation of distance, wind, and bullet trajectory. Each silhouette that fell represented not only a victory, but also a promise of a protected harvest season. Meanwhile, on the western slope, Nick spotted a group of wild boars basking on an open patch of snow. A gunshot rang out, and he immediately chased after the fleeing animals. Yet no matter how hard he tried, their incredible speed left him behind. He pulled out his iPhone 16 to signal the team. Within minutes, the group arrived and surrounded the area. No wild boar could slip away. If this part excites you, remember to like and share, it motivates us to bring even more spectacular encounters. The pursuit continued relentlessly. Fresh tracks on the snow led Nick and me to a massive wild boar. The moment we faced it, I knew the weapon in my hands was more than equipment. It was a sharp warning, a decisive end to the chaos these animals had caused for so long. As darkness settled in, we decided to sweep the area one last time before heading home. Any remaining animals were handled swiftly. The mountains became peaceful again, and the locals could rest easier knowing their land was safer this winter. The winter operation ended. Everything was carried out in compliance with United States hunting laws. The trophies piled high on the Toyota Land Cruiser represented not only hard work and effort, but also a sacred responsibility, protecting the crops and the people of this land.
Meanwhile, on the eastern coastline,
Suốt 3 ngày liền, khu rừng vẫn im ắng đến rợn người. Không một dấu vết, chẳng một âm thanh, chỉ còn cái lạnh len lỏi trong từng bước chân và cảm giác ngờ vực bao trùm. Thế nhưng hôm nay, khi ánh nắng đầu tiên vừa hé lộ sau rặng cây, tôi biết thời khắc quan trọng đã đến. Theo kinh nghiệm nhiều năm săn lùng trong rừng sâu, đây chính là lúc lũ lợn rừng bắt đầu rời khỏi nơi trú ẩn. Chúng tôi lập tức điều chỉnh chiến thuật, đặt toàn bộ hy vọng vào điểm phục kích cuối cùng. Cơ hội vẫn còn đó, chỉ không biết thiên nhiên sẽ đứng về phía ai. Đừng rời mắt, cuộc săn căng thẳng chỉ mới bắt đầu. Trang bị đầy đủ vũ khí chuyên dụng cùng thiết bị hiện đại, chúng tôi tiến thẳng đến vị trí được phân công. Sau bao ngày chờ đợi, cuối cùng đàn lợn rừng cũng xuất hiện. Chúng tôi nhanh chóng điều chỉnh ống ngắm, bám sát từng chuyển động của chúng. Phát súng đầu tiên vang lên đầy uy lực, khiến con đầu đàn gục xuống. Những con còn lại hoảng loạn tản ra, nhưng các xạ thủ khác đã chuẩn bị sẵn. Tín hiệu được truyền đi trong nháy mắt. Từng vị trí phối hợp nhịp nhàng, chặn đứng mọi hướng thoát. Cuộc chạm trán này không chỉ kiểm nghiệm sự kiên nhẫn và chiến thuật, mà còn chứng minh sự ăn ý hiếm có của cả đội, một sự hòa hợp giữa kinh nghiệm, quyết đoán và cả chút may mắn trời cho. Tiếp nối cuộc rượt đuổi, chúng tôi tiến lên vùng đất cao hơn, mở rộng tầm nhìn xuống chân đồi. Những bóng đen quen thuộc lướt qua tầm mắt, nhanh và sắc như những cái bóng. Viên đạn đầu tiên vang lên, nhưng khoảng cách xa khiến việc hạ mục tiêu gọn gàng trở nên khó khăn. Dù tầm nhìn đã rõ hơn, những hình thù đen kịt đó vẫn cứ thoắt ẩn thoắt hiện, để lại sự tiếc nuối khiến bầu không khí càng thêm căng thẳng. Trước áp lực đó, Nick lập tức hành động. Anh đưa một người quan sát lên vị trí cao hơn để theo dõi hướng di chuyển của đàn lợn rừng, rồi truyền tín hiệu cho đội bên dưới tấn công chớp nhoáng. Khi kế hoạch triển khai, từng con lợn rừng xuất hiện đều bị bao vây chỉ sau vài giây. Không còn đường thoát cho chúng. Sau chuỗi thời gian căng thẳng không ngừng nghỉ, chúng tôi cuối cùng cũng giành lại khu vực này khỏi sự đe dọa của bầy thú. Một tiếng nổ mạnh vang lên, khiến đàn chó săn giật mình tháo chạy xuống sườn đồi, nấp sâu vào những bụi rậm. Đội của Kevin được giao nhiệm vụ kiểm soát khu vực ấy. Sau nhiều giờ truy đuổi ráo riết, từng mục tiêu lần lượt bị khống chế, mang lại sự yên bình cho vùng đồi. Trong khi Kevin chiến đấu quyết liệt, đàn chó săn vẫn không bỏ lỡ nhịp nào. Chúng đánh hơi cực kỳ nhanh và lao về phía trước. Nhìn cách chúng làm việc, tôi thấy rõ kinh nghiệm nhiều năm của chúng, vừa dẫn đường vừa dồn con mồi về khoảng trống hoàn hảo. Nhờ sự hỗ trợ đó, phát bắn của tôi trúng đích kịp lúc, ngăn mục tiêu kịp trốn thoát. Một mối đe dọa nữa được loại bỏ, mang thêm phần an tâm cho người dân địa phương. Ở sườn đồi phía đông, đội của Nick phải đối mặt với một cuộc rượt đuổi đầy áp lực. Sau những phút giây căng thẳng tột độ, Nick cuối cùng cũng chặn được đàn lợn rừng đúng như dự tính. Anh tận dụng tối đa mọi kỹ năng để siết chặt vòng vây, không cho bất kỳ con nào cơ hội thoát khỏi tầm kiểm soát. Một loạt đạn chính xác đã kết thúc cuộc truy đuổi kịch tính đó. Khi ánh chiều tà dần buông, bóng tối len lỏi khắp khu rừng, những mục tiêu cuối cùng bất ngờ xuất hiện. Chỉ trong vài phút ngắn ngủi trước khi màn đêm phủ xuống, không một con nào thoát khỏi những phát bắn chuẩn xác và dứt khoát của các xạ thủ. Cuối cùng, người dân địa phương cũng có thể thở phào nhẹ nhõm, không còn nơm nớp lo sợ trước những đàn lợn rừng hung hãn nữa. Video đến đây là kết thúc rồi. Nếu chuyến đi săn hôm nay khiến bạn hồi hộp hay phấn khích, đừng quên để lại bình luận để chúng tôi biết cảm nhận của bạn nhé. Nhớ like, share và subscribe để ủng hộ kênh và đón xem thêm nhiều hành trình săn rừng đầy kịch tính khác. Hẹn gặp lại bạn trong những video tiếp theo.
After countless difficult ground hunts, the team of hunters finally realized one thing. Tracking feral hogs from the ground wasn't just exhausting, it was dangerous. These animals could be standing only a few meters away, yet in the blink of an eye, they would slip into the thick brush and vanish completely. Dense vegetation worked as the perfect shield, making it nearly impossible to predict their escape direction. That frustration pushed the hunters toward a bold and unconventional idea, taking the fight into the air. Across the United States, feral hogs aren't just pests. Their explosive reproduction rate allows their numbers to skyrocket within just a few seasons. A single sow can produce more than a dozen piglets per year, and as these herds grow, they destroy farmland, erode soil, and damage the local ecosystem. The annual agricultural losses caused by them reach into the billions. Controlling their population isn't optional anymore. It has become a responsibility that must be taken seriously. That's when the team decided to adopt a new strategy, using a helicopter to pursue them. The Robinson R-44 Raven was prepared meticulously, paired with a Wedgetail Industries WT-25 chambered in .308 Winchester, well known for its stability and stopping power. After all equipment was checked, the helicopter lifted off, heading toward the open plains and farmlands bordering the forest, where fresh hog activity had been reported. From above, everything became dramatically easier to see. Torn up soil, trampled underbrush, and deep tracks carved into the earth formed clear trails pointing toward the hogs. It wasn't long before the hunters spotted the first targets. On a sunlit patch of ground, several mature hogs wandered, searching for food. Their dark, heavy bodies contrasted sharply with the field, making them visible from far away. The pilot, a veteran of many similar missions, adjusted altitude and stabilized the aircraft, giving the shooter the perfect angle. When the moment was right, the hunter raised his rifle, locked onto his target, and squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out crisp and clean, and the hog collapsed instantly. The roar of the helicopter sent the rest of the animals into panic. They bolted toward patches of brush, unknowingly exposing themselves even more. The helicopter banked and circled back, giving the team a new angle of attack. Within seconds, a herd of more than 10 hogs emerged into view. They moved incredibly fast, speeds comparable to a slow-moving vehicle, but none of that mattered against the aerial advantage. Shot after shot, hogs dropped while trying desperately to flee. Others rushed into denser vegetation, but their frantic movements only made them easier to track. In this chase, the hogs simply couldn't outrun the helicopter. As the pursuit continued, the team ran into a new problem. The hogs were adapting. The sound of the rotor seemed to make them warier. Instead of running in straight lines, they changed direction constantly, slipping behind bushes and using uneven terrain for cover. Finding them became more challenging, and the hunters had to stay sharp. The pilot swept the helicopter low along the forest edge. As the aircraft skimmed the treetops, many hogs dove into heavy cover, making it difficult to keep them in sight. But with skilled maneuvering, the pilot changed altitude and widened the search pattern. From that higher angle, the team spotted an even larger herd, more than 10 hogs, clustered near moist, freshly dug soil. The shooter picked out the biggest one in the group. He steadied his breathing, braced the rifle, and pulled the trigger. The hog collapsed immediately. The rest scattered in panic, but the helicopter quickly closed in. Within minutes, the herd was thinned out, each hog falling as it tried to disappear into the brush. The hunt continued, and when they neared the main fields again, another large herd came into view. This group was powerful, fast, and tightly packed. They sprinted frantically the moment they heard the helicopter, but there was nowhere for them to hide. The aircraft swooped in from the side, offering the shooter clear angles. One hog dropped, then another, then another. The chaos overwhelmed the remaining animals, slowing their reactions and exposing them even more. As the dust finally settled, the fields were dotted with hogs weighing anywhere from 80 to over 100 kilograms. After hours of continuous pursuit, the team had eliminated around 50. It wasn't enough to change the nationwide situation. Millions of feral hogs still roam across the country, but it brought relief to local farmers and slowed the destruction in the region. Each hunt like this helps safeguard the land and gives people hope that they can reclaim control. Do you you think helicopter hog hunting is the most effective solution today? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another action-packed adventure. The sky was still soaked in early morning mist when I stepped onto the field. The makeshift traps the farmers had set through the night were still wet with dew, lying silently along the narrow paths. The farmers stood nearby, their faces carrying more worry than expectation, because the wild boars around here were never easy to deal with. They could tear through an entire crop field overnight and disappear before anyone realized what happened. No fence, no barrier seemed enough to stop them. That was why we had been called in, to prevent another wave of destruction before it began. I knew this wasn't just another hunt. It was a tense confrontation between people and the intense, unpredictable force of the wild. As the sun slowly pushed through the thin clouds, our team started preparing to move into the forest. The quiet of the morning was suddenly broken by the sharp barking of the hounds, echoing through the trees. The pursuit had officially begun. Every step I took was careful and deliberate. It felt as though my senses had sharpened. The crackle of dry leaves, the smell of damp soil, even the faintest movement in the underbrush made my heartbeat quicken. Before long, the dogs cornered a boar between two thick stands of trees. I steadied my breathing, refusing to let nerves take over the moment. When the distance was right and the angle was clear, I squeezed the trigger. The shot cracked crisply through the air, and the boar collapsed almost instantly. Even though I'd been through scenes like this many times, I still felt the tension gradually release in my chest. But the forest gave us no time to relax. Not much farther ahead, I spotted another massive shape moving through the dense shrubs. I froze, adjusted my posture, and counted the seconds in my head. 2 shots rang out, echoing through the open space, and the boar fell onto a bed of fallen leaves. The smell of gunpowder mixed with the earthy scent of the forest floor, reminding me once again of how raw and unforgiving the wilderness could be. We continued deeper into the thick woods. The air grew heavy with a musky scent of wild boar, a certain sign they were close. Moments later, the ground trembled as several rushed toward us at once. Gunfire burst into the air. Roars answered back. Dark bodies lunged forward and dropped in rapid succession. For a brief moment, everything felt chaotic, and I became painfully aware of how thin the line between safety and danger truly was. A few minutes passed before my loyal hound suddenly barked furiously. The rest of the dogs joined in, forming a tight circle as they closed in on something concealed behind a massive tree. Thanks to their teamwork, I quickly located the target. Those dogs were like an extra pair of eyes for us in the dim, tangled forest, and without them, tracking and staying safe would have been nearly impossible. Guided by their barking, I followed the trail until I saw Thomas signaling from a distance. Beneath the shade of thick branches, a large boar lumbered forward with slow, heavy steps. Time seemed to slow. I raised my rifle, steadied my breath, and pulled the trigger. The shot hit perfectly, dropping the boar where it stood. The whole team let out a quiet sigh of relief. But the day wasn't done with us yet. As the last rays of sunlight slipped behind the trees, we prepared to leave the forest. Just then, a dark figure shifted in the shadows ahead. The final boar had revealed itself. The dogs darted forward immediately, blocking every escape route. I lifted my rifle once more, found the mark, and fired. The clean, sharp report of the shot echoed across the fading light, bringing our long, exhausting hunt to a close. We had completed our task for the day, yet the struggle between people and these relentless animals was far from over. Thank you for following us through this intense journey. If stories from the wild like this keep you excited, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next adventure.